Right then, so Jaron Ennis Boots has officially signed for Matchroom Boxing, and yeah, I think it's a massive for Matchroom. To be fair, I think it's an absolutely massive deal for them. Um, Very interesting as well, but I feel like you know the reason he's signed for Matchroom is because he's frustrated because he's not able to get the fights that he wants, like a Terence Crawford fight or an Errol Spence Jr. fight. I think that's why. That is what I think. It is why he has now officially signed with Matchroom Boxing. But I feel like there is a fight which is going to be made for him, and that will be the Conor Benn fight. I look at those welterweight rankings, and you know, it's got to. He's in his first fight with Matchroom, especially. He's got to be fighting someone who is signed for Matchroom. I don't see why he wouldn't. And I think that Conor Benn fight is the fight that will happen. I mean, there's not a load of welterweights that are, really high up in those rankings that assigned for Matchroom apart from Boots now, and the other one being Conor Benn. So I think that's the fight that happens. And clearly, that Terence Crawford fight I think could be even further away. An Errol Spence Jr. fight could be even further away. And yeah, for people who don't know, Boots isn't actually before Matchroom, he wasn't actually signed with the PBC. He was just signed with Showtime. So, that again, I feel like could have made him be a bit further away from the Crawford fight anyway. I don't know, because he wasn't signed with the PBC in the first place. But I have a feeling he will sign for PBC at some point. I don't think that this deal with Matchroom is going to go on very long at all. I think he'll be there for like 2 or 3 fights, then go on and move to PBC. That's what I think will happen, because I think he's frustrated because he's not able to get a Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. fight. So, because Crawford's looking to fight Fundora, God knows what's going on with Errol Spence. But I mean, I know that they could have made that fight could have been made. But I feel like Boots has gone over to Matchroom for a Conor Benn fight because he knows that fight, there's money on the table for that fight. I feel like, there'll be a lot of people who want to watch that and want to watch Conor Benn's face get absolutely smashed in by Boots. And that's what will happen in that fight. That fight with Boots and Conor Benn isn't even close. Let's be real. Boots will absolutely annihilate Conor Benn. Not even a contest. Boots destroys him. Inside, I'd say 5 rounds, we'd give Conor Benn. I don't think it goes past 6, at least. I don't even think it gets to 6. Boots is just way too skilled for him, way too slick, way too quick. Conor Benn hasn't really got the greatest of defense. Conor Benn's got good offense, but it's not as good now he's not on the juice. So, I think, I think that fight is easy work for Boots. But no matter what, it's a big money fight that Boots probably knows it is. So that's why he's taking that fight. And that's why he's signing for Matchroom. But I do believe he will be signing for PBC to get that Terence Crawford fight, because obviously now I believe Showtime are now out of boxing. It's now Boots was now left with no he was now left with no options. So sign for Matchroom in DAZN. That's what he should do. Build his profile up a bit more on Matchroom, build it more to the worldwide audience instead of just the American audience. And now he's come to Matchroom. There's some good fights for him with that Conor Benn fight. Well, good fights. There's a good fight in Conor Benn. Then I don't know what he does after Conor Benn. Trust Eddie Hearn to try and get a Terence Crawford fight in. I don't see Boots fighting Crawford while he's signed with Matchroom. I really don't see that happening. So, he's here for that Conor Benn fight, take that fight, move on, and get that Terence Crawford fight. But as of now, he's even further away from that fight. And I think Terence Crawford versus Boots is the fight that literally mostly all of us want to see. And me personally, I believe that Boots can compete with Crawford. I'm not saying that Boots would beat Crawford, but he can compete with him. I feel like he'd definitely, be a lot more competitive than what Spence was. 100% he would be. But yeah, I think this deal's really interesting, to be fair, with Matchroom. It is. And obviously, a few days ago, there was a post deleted with Boots and Conor Benn. That might be because the fight's not happening. I don't think that's why. I think they wanted to save Boots signing for Matchroom first. And then in a few days' time, or in at least in a few weeks, I think we will be seeing an announcement with Boots versus Conor Benn. That is what I think. And yeah, for me, it does excite me, but it's not competitive. It's just that we know for a fact Conor Benn will lose that fight. And fair play to Boots, he's going to get a lot of money coming out of that one as well before going into a Terence Crawford fight. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It will be. I mean, I think a fun thing would be, I mean, could we see this ever Boots and Crawford happen in Saudi Arabia instead of Vegas? Because I feel like while Boots is with Matchroom and Crawford's with PBC, it's going to make it harder to make that fight instead of Boots used to being signed with Showtime and Crawford with PBC. It would have been easier to make that fight then. But again, there might have still been a few issues, but it would have been easier to make that fight than it is now. 100% it would be. But yeah, interesting stuff. Obviously, Boots versus Conor Benn, it would get an English audience behind it as well, and more of a worldwide audience behind that fight than a lot of his previous ones. But that fight will be happening in America anyway, due to Conor Benn not being allowed to fight in England due to being a drug cheat. So yeah, but look, Conor Benn and Boots, it's not competitive. Let's be real. Boots is way too slick and quick for him. Boots is way of an all-round better boxer than what Conor Benn is. And, Conor Benn's got zero defense. Boots will be able to counter him all night, be able to move around, pivot around him all night, and just make easy work out to Conor Benn, to be fair, and eventually get him out of there fairly early. I don't see it going far whatsoever. Boots is just on a completely other level, and I feel like he's on a level that can be able to compete with Terence Crawford. I believe Boots is the second best welterweight in the world right now. So yeah, him and Boots and Conor Benn is not competitive, but again, it's a big money fight, which I think will get people interested. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, okay? I'll speak to you on a bit. Thanks for watching. Peace out.